I'm glad you can be with us here on this Tuesday. It is a joy to be able to spend just a moment to try to encourage your heart and life. It is so wonderful to serve the Lord. He meets with us every day if we seek Him, and He will give us His peace and His joy. And no matter what the news or whatever specific trials we may face, we have the promise that all things do work together for good. And sometimes big calamities occur. The gospel was going forth, and it was a very interesting time in the life of the Apostle Paul. And he was speaking to a group of the Christians there, and like Paul's habit, he spent an enormous amount of time discipling. It's a great lesson for us. You know the story that as he was preaching, there sat in the window a certain young man named Eutychus, being fallen into a deep sleep, and as Paul was long preaching, he sunk down with sleep and fell down from the third loft and was taken up dead. Well, that was a crisis. You can imagine, from the joy of speaking of the truth about the gospel and the truth of the Word of God and all that God has done through the ages and helped these disciples really become mighty servants of the Lord there in Macedonia. Now you have a tragedy. I mean, you can imagine the shock and the horror that occurred at that time. But then in verse 10, and Paul went down and fell on him, and embracing him said, "Trouble not yourself, for his life is in him." And when he therefore was come up again, he had broken bread and eaten and talked a little while, even till the break of day. So he departed, and they brought the young man alive and were not a little comforted. It seems as though there was actually a resurrection here, or a major healing. But in any case, what seemed at the moment to be a tragedy, when God stepped in, became a tremendous blessing. And we've got to understand that when God allows hard things to come into our lives, that He is ready to work, and He is wanting to take whatever that crisis is and to develop us, to give us patience, that's enduring faith, and to cause us to develop a real experience, as Romans 5 says, of knowing that God works, so that we can have an expectant hope or confidence in Him. And it makes all the difference in our Christian life, that maturity, that solidifying, that looking to God. And that's what happened with these people. They were different people, because what seemed to be tragedy, God used in their lives. And so, friends, when we face a trial, our first perspective needs to be, God can work. He can solve the problem. Now, we got to trust Him to do it the way He wants to do it, but we can pray and trust Him and resist the devil. And if we have the right attitude, God will take what seems to be such a horrible crisis, and He will bring out of it great good. Even as we've seen the crisis in our country these last couple of years, great good has come out of it in many ministries and in many people's lives. And we need to pray that much greater things occur. So let's trust God and know that all things do work together for good.